And awesome. So great. We are live on video. Stand by to go live on the podcast for audio. And before I do that, actually, all right. Stand by. I'll give you a live intro when you come on.
All right.
All right. Good day and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Live the Fuel show. So I'd like to bring on a powerful new co-host. And the reason why I say powerful is because he's a part of another networking circle that I've connected with through the Thrive Make Money Matter event. This keeps coming up time and time again on the show because I attended it last year in San Diego. I attended it again this year in Las Vegas. And a gentleman who's a past co-host on this show, Nicholas Bailey, created a powerful brand called The $1 Billion Body. And we recently just aired an episode with pro skier Scott Chrisman out of Colorado, who's part of that inner circle. And we just so happened to get connected with yet another gentleman out of that circle as well. And the short skinny on him is basically the guy's an active duty Navy, a professional, basically turned seven-figure entrepreneur. And seven-figure, I'm going to kind of drop that hint again, guys. He's playing around the online space. And me being a marketing professional, I know he and I today are probably going to geek out a little bit about some online marketing and clearly something around the Facebook world. I think this guy might have a few things to share for you guys, so tune in. But without further ado, welcome to the show, Douglas Doherty, sir.
Hey, how's it going, man? Thanks for having me on the show. I'm really, really excited. I got my tea here.
What kind of tea? What kind of tea you rocking tonight?
I love chamomile. You know, it just kind of.
That's a good evening tea. It mellows you down. I like that.
Yeah, it gets you mellowed out. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I could do the chamomile in the morning. I don't think that clicks. But
you got to do the double shot green tea in the morning. That's what I do.
Might be, yeah. So there's your first healthy hack to the listeners, guys. We're already geeking out about tea, and yes, us strong, fit, successful gentlemen do enjoy a nice chamomile once in a while. So, which now that I'm telling, I wish I would have made one before the show. I'll make one afterwards. No big deal. Well, wait a minute. You're a couple hours behind me, aren't you?
Yeah, it is. Currently, it is 17:14, which is 5:14 p.m.
Yeah.
So
I like this, man. We speak military time. I got you.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So a quick refresher to our listeners. Again, this guy knows about the Navy life. I do not. I was not military, but I was federal in the Forest Service world as a hotshot wildland firefighter. So you probably didn't know that about me, but that's part of my story as well.
Awesome. No, I didn't know that at all.
But being a West Coast guy, I'm sure you've seen a few or on the news. The wildland fire world is usually more televised and put on the news more than what would happen here on the East Coast where I'm at. So,
Wow. So you probably know a lot about all these fires that are happening in California.
Yep.
I mean, isn't that crazy? Did you see that last week? What's going on?
Been there, seen that. I mean, honestly, not to be like that, but I mean, honestly, I was lucky enough and honored enough to earn a position on a hotshot crew, and the hotshots were the elite. We were sent to the craziest fires imaginable because that's what we were trained to do. So I was stationed all over the West. We were based out of Arizona, but I fought wildfires in New Mexico, Arizona, California, Oregon, what else am I thinking of? Idaho, Montana, Colorado. So been around the block, did that in 2010 and 2011. And actually next week, it already made the red carpet premiere because some of my CAL FIRE buddies that I met at Thrive were actually at the red carpet premiere of Only the Brave. So if you want to understand a little bit about what I did, go watch the movie premiere of Only the Brave. And I believe it premieres on the 20th. You and I are recording right now on the 17th of October. So in a few days, people actually on the East Coast understand what the hell I did.
Well, I'm going to have to look out for that. That's really interesting.
Well, I will share this. I have mixed feelings. You being a military professional, there's been plenty of movies made about the military. There's been basically barely any movies really made about wildland fire and especially the hotshot life. And this specific movie is a documentary kind of reflection of 2013, June 30th, 2013. Brothers of mine, the Granite Mountain Hotshots based out of Prescott, Arizona, 19 of the 20 guys were all killed. So They were burned over on a fire called Yarnell Hill fire outside of Prescott, Arizona. And that's pretty much the worst tragedy we could ever expect. And they basically said it was the worst fire tragedy since 2001, 9/11 in New York, as far as loss of professional firefighting life in one instance. So, so I guess Hollywood decided to make a movie about it. So I'm hoping that they honor their memories properly and tell a proper story. I don't know. I'm sure you can reflect a little bit on I know we're going to probably talk about marketing and stuff, but I'm sure you being a Navy professional could reflect a little bit about, well, are the movies that accurate? Are they not? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they do a pretty good job as far as like the military stuff. You know, I definitely noticed from the 80s, you know, from like Top Gun to all these movies coming up, they do pay a lot of attention to the ribbons and the salutes and the actual naming. Like if you're talking to a sergeant or a captain, because a captain in the Army is completely different from a captain in the Navy. So things like that. Hollywood, and actually there's one of my buddies I actually met through the $1 Billion Body Network through Nicholas as well as Yost. He actually goes and trains all these actors to be stone cold killers or Navy SEALs. So like one of the movies that just came out is American Assassin.
Seen it.
The lead role. Yeah, our buddy Yost, he went out to Hollywood and pretty much trained this guy, you know, how to shoot and do tactical engagements and all kinds of awesome stuff. So
I like that.
So we have people like Yost that are actually active in Hollywood that are teaching these actors, you know, proper etiquette, like how to be a soldier, how to be a Navy SEAL.
Well, I think that's crucial. I have heard about that. I heard that there's people that, like yourself, that are military professionals that if they have the right network, right? Because I'm sure, you know, you being in the $1 Billion Body, you and I could probably geek out about the power of networking and circles of influence, et cetera, et cetera. But it's cool to be able to say, great, I can still serve. And as long as I'm not breaking any rules, I could become a consultant and make sure that when these movies or books that are being written or heck, YouTube content is being created or whatever, is at least being made accurately and is respecting the profession and telling the proper story and being done in the right way where, like you said, hopefully they're wearing the colors properly and all of that. Because I know that's a big deal. I've heard people mention where military professional friends of mine are like, that's complete BS. That guy's not even wearing his colors properly.
Right.
Yeah. So what do you think then about this? I guess, would you ever consider doing that? You being a marketing guy, right? You being in the online space. If someone ever approached you because you're active Navy, would you ever consider saying, great, somebody's approached me to do a consultation on that? Is that something realistic?
Are you talking about like in the Hollywood scene or?
No, let's say not even Hollywood scene. I don't know. I mean, I guess if there was an opportunity where somebody wanted your professional opinion to make sure they were respecting the role of Navy or that personnel or whatever, is that something that you guys are even allowed to do? Or it was your buddy, you said Yost. Is Yost still active or is he retired?
No, he's retired. But I mean, being an entrepreneur, right? If I see an opportunity where it's going to create a return of investment for myself, for my time, then 100% I'll be happy to give all the advice that I can. You know, I think that's just a part of the way we're wired to think, you know.
So you are allowed to do that. I mean, I use the word allowed, but this is the power of entrepreneurship. Technically entrepreneurship, we're allowed to do whatever we want, but I'm also respecting the fact that being a former federal guy, there's a lot of extra red tape there, but technically, I guess it's okay. Like you can cut the barrier there.
You know what? To be honest, I'm not probably the most qualified person to ask that from that side of things, but I don't see anything wrong with providing education, you know, from experience.
Well, I think that's what, if you had to strip it down to the bare bones of what sales and marketing really is, for example, right? Because I'll bring it right back to where I'm excited to dive into about you is, again, I mean, for our listeners, guys, real quick, you got to check out his site. It's ampedlocal.com. There's a bunch of other sites we're going to reflect on, and they're going to be all in the show notes on the blog article on the website, which like we always do for all of our past co-hosts. But again, if you're listening right now or you're watching this on YouTube, go to ampedlocal.com and you can find out more about him and his brand and his marketing services. But let's bring it back to that, because really sales and marketing, it took me years, as I was many years ago, for your benefit, I was afraid of sales. Not because I don't have the balls to do it, but I actually looked at it as a negative position because I knew so many guys that were like, the used car salesman type of roles and stuff like that. And they didn't treat their professions professionally. They were really just looking at it as a job, and and you could tell that they just sounded like it. They didn't care. There was no passion in what they did. And over the years, you realize, wait a minute, if you strip down sales and marketing to its bare bone basics, it's people or individuals or businesses that are teaching others about a certain product or service or whatever it is that's being marketed. And we just choose different platforms and domains to do so about that said subject. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, really what it comes down to, if you're getting into business, whatever you're trying to sell or push on to the market, you have to be able to educate them. You have to identify, what is the problem that my client has that I need to solve? What am I going to truly do to solve that problem for them? And then how do I compensate my time financially with them? 100% education. If you're not in the game to educate, then you essentially don't have a business. Because today, education, people are willing to pay hand over fist for education. That's why colleges are so big right now. But in our space, they're getting blasted because there's so many people that are coming out with particular skills that you can use literally from home, from your laptop, like social media marketing and things like that, where you can go create an income from your home and not ever have to go into a college room. And there's people that spent, like my fiance is a perfect example. I hate to put her on blast if she's listening, but she got a bachelor's degree in fashion and merchandising. Now, what does that really mean? That means she can go be the supervisor for Victoria's Secret, and be in the workforce. It doesn't give her something, and she used to work these crazy long hours, 12, 13, 14 hours. She used to work overnights. It wasn't giving her the lifestyle that she truly wanted. She did have a job, but like there's a lot of, my sister has a bachelor's degree in mathematics, and she's been trying to get a job for 4 years. And she's had to settle for this technician.
I could have told her about that. I had friends of mine go to Penn State with me. They're all mathematics guys. And I'm like, one guy was lucky enough that his dad had a good company. He ended up taking the company over. Another guy, he's like, oh, I'm going to be a math guy so I can go be a teacher. No offense, I respect teachers. But
right.
That's a competitive market as well. Let's be real. So how do you differentiate yourself in such a overwhelming space? It's kind of hard to do that.
Definitely. Yeah, it's a real challenge, and if you got a math degree, unless you can get a job working for NASA, which my sister tried to get.
She's that good?
She's really good. She's taken some really high level classes,
wow.
When she was getting her degree. So, but, I just couldn't pan out, so, but I think just all this education online would get back to my point, there's a lot of people, and I'm sure there's probably some people listening that might have taken a college class or two and literally they're not implementing anything that they learned from it. And they went into debt to get student loans and all this stuff. Right. And there's just no return. They can't get jobs, so that's why I think you're seeing the biggest spurt of entrepreneurs. Like there's been 400,000 entrepreneurs this past year that blew up, that's compared to last year. There was under 10 million. This is actually the biggest spurt this year in millionaires, entrepreneurs that have grown in the US since 400,000. And it's just because people are just pushing past their fears. They're realizing these old school methods, the history books, they're not going to write our future. We're not going to have as big of an impact on the world if we do what the world wants us to do.
Yeah.
Right. So
I love that you're bringing that up because a lot of us are trained, or we're talking about training and education right now, right? So a lot of us are molded or trained that, you get good grades and you go to college. And I am not downplaying the power of education. I think you and I are totally vibing on the power of education.
Right. Definitely.
But myself, who made myself go to, I grew up on a farm, man. Like I wasn't supposed to go to college. No one in my family ever went to college. And then I saw my buddies that was working at a high school job, pushing carts and working the register at a grocery store. And then it's like, and then one of my other side jobs before I was old enough to drive was I would literally, I'm not kidding you, dude. I was milking cows in a dairy and riding in the wagons out in a farm field, catching hay bales and stacking hay bales as they got launched out of the baling machine and behind a tractor. And this is this is literally 20 minutes in from the edge of New Jersey. It's not like I'm in, in the middle of nowhere. But the point was that was my childhood. I grew up around hard work. And then luckily I was bored and I didn't see the direction of college prep because I didn't think of taking college prep courses. Mm-hmm. So I went to a technology school while I was in high school, and I studied microelectronics technology. I mean, I could field strip a VCR back then when VCRs were that big of a deal, and and rebuild it, including computers and everything else. So I got to understand technology. And then I finished the program 4 months ahead of time. So then I went and found a way to get on a co-op gig and go work for an actual company. So even though I was doing the high school job, I was actually also working at that job. It was crazy, a great life-changing experience, which then told me, oh, my buddies are going to college. I should go to college. I'm capable of more. So to our listeners, guys, what he's talking about, what I'm talking about right now, we're not saying you're not capable of more and that, hey, if you want to go to college and make something more of yourself, great. What you're hinting at right now, sir, is something that I've now spoken more out on myself, is that fast forward, I ended up leaving those classes, working for a couple startup companies, never finishing that degree. I was originally going to be an engineering major at Penn State. Then got overwhelmed because I was working full-time trying to pay my way to pay for this freaking cost of college because nobody had the money to pay me. And then I said, well, I have to take one or the other. So I decided to go with the career growth path and drop the college crap for now. But then years later, before the firefighting, I went back. I finished that degree. I did a BS in marketing and psychology on an accelerated adult program. So you're able to bang out classes every 8 weeks. So I was hauling ass, did that. And then said, forget the corporate life. I'm leaving that, got the degree, got to go be a firefighter for a couple of years. So that's a very fast forward on that. But what I'm going to reflect back to is the point is this, is that, great, I got my degree. It doesn't mean that I'm now set for life. And what I learned was, since me launching my own marketing consultancy and my own business, like the podcast here is fun, is I don't use anything that I learned in that degree. And I just finished that degree in 2010. So it's not that long ago. If I would have originally finished my degree, I would have graduated back in 1999. As crazy as that is. So even though that was more current information, it's already been 7 years. So it's already archaic as it is. And the only thing I think a degree shows hiring people is that you're capable of following a program, studying, learning, and accomplishing the said target, which is the degree.
Right.
Does that prepare you for the workforce? I tell people all the time, a college, a good university, a good college, they prepare you to be a good employee. That's what it is. And that's what I heard from you when you were talking about your girl is great. You could be a great employee or be a great employee manager or leader, but you're still an employee mindset. You're not taught what it takes to be an entrepreneur or a free thinker. Somebody that's going to try to change the world, right? That's something that has to come, unfortunately, from us along life's path.
Right. Yeah. There's two things, there's purpose and then there's passion. Obviously we need firefighters, right? We need doctors, we need lawyers, we need
Navy personnel.
We need Navy personnel, right? We need all these things. But what it comes down to when you do your time, is that truly what you want to be doing for the next 20, 30, 40 years? And are you truly fulfilling your destiny, your purpose? What really super excites you when you get out of bed in the morning? What is it that you want to be doing? And I really feel this is my belief, we're all here to impact one another and give back to one another. So if you're doing something that is allowing you to do that in an abundance, and it just makes you feel so great to do it every day, then by all means keep doing it. But for me, I want to touch as millions and millions of people. So that requires me to do as much as possible to get out into the right the right communities and share my knowledge, because I feel for me, the educational system is faulted as far as marketing is concerned, right? Because that's my expertise, is marketing, is Facebook. So I feel like some of the stuff that people are going to college for, it's not complete. You can't really implement it in 2017, 2018 timeframe. So I've been trying to, my goal right now is to impact or change the game when it comes to online marketing education, because somebody needs to do it. There are people that are making movements, but I want to leave my piece because this is my passion. I love teaching, and marketing is what I've been able to, I love doing it. and obviously purpose, I think like creating a for purpose business, like you already know Thrive is an incredible, that's what Thrive is. In case you guys don't know, it's how to make your money matter, So like everything that I tie it into, to our church, and I tie it into, giving back to and helping the treatment of cerebral palsy, because I actually have an uncle. He hasn't been able to walk since he was 2 years old. So
wow,
that's the two things that it's a crazy story. But that's where my money goes. And we're actually working on something with Sandals in Mexico.
So when you launched, and actually, I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and take advantage of our technology here. Go ahead and share my screen here, because I was already poking around on your site, Amped Local, to our ladies and gentlemen listening, ampedlocal.com. When you launched this, or when you launched your business, was it always for purpose? Like, did you already have that business built into your business model? Because like for me, I'll be perfectly honest with you, I do tons of charity work year round. I'm constantly popping in and out of, like right now I'm raising money for cystic fibrosis, which was powerful because Claire, one of our speakers this year, is Claire's Place Foundation. She's living with cystic fibrosis. So it was crazy that I'm already raising money for it here locally. And I go to an event and there's some other girl out there speaking about it and raising something for her own foundation. So it was crazy to connect at that level. Right. But like Live the Fuel of my LLC, which is Fuel Enterprises, was never actually set up as a for-purpose business. But since going to Thrive last year and then returning this year, I'm like, I looked at it before. I'm like, well, I do charity work throughout the year. So I'm already doing more than most. And then after this year, I finally said, wait a minute. I committed last year in that fingerprint ceremony. And then this year in the fingerprint ceremony at the end, right? Reflecting on Cole's commitment and getting us to commit. And it's like, wait a minute. Yeah, I do donate, but it's not actually hardcore ingrained into my business model. So I'm literally in the process right now with my bookkeeper and everybody else to get that switched over. So at least for phase one, until I can figure out and really see where the money's going, because we still got to live our lives, right? Is okay for now. It's like I'm gonna integrate a kickoff launch of at least 1% of all incoming to my companies to go that way. And then I will then figure out, okay, am I going to do a quarterly donation to a different charity once a quarter, or am I going to keep my normal? Because I already have a flagship relationship through my nutrition business with Make-A-Wish Foundation. So that was already set up before that, but I never had it at the full parent level. So is that something that you've always had ingrained in, or again, is Thrive helping you think differently and saying, wait a minute, I need to actually hard code it like I'm talking about?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So a few years back, it's probably about 3 years now, but I actually deployed during my time in the Navy. So we went out it was a humanitarian mission, right? So we went out to like Papua New Guinea. We went to Fiji, where they make actual Fiji water. I didn't know it was actually made there.
See, a lot of people say that's BS, and they say it's not actually made there.
No, it's actually made there, and it's bottled there, and it's like literally 25 cents for a huge bottle of it.
I do love their water.
Yeah, it's great water. It's the best water you can ever get. But anyway, we went to countries like that. Papua New Guinea, and we went to like Guam. Obviously, we stopped in Hawaii a couple times, but the Philippines. But Papua New Guinea was what really, really changed my life. Like, we went there, people had no shoes, they barely had clothes on. They slept out of these little tiki houses made from straw.
Wow.
So it was very, very third world. There was little concession stands that were makeshift. Their schools was literally a concrete slab with a straw roof over it, with a couple stand-up boards with pictures. It was completely it really made me think like, man, we have it so good over here. These guys they look at us like we're aliens, like we're showing up in our uniforms, fresh haircut. We have, at the MREs and stuff, we have food. And
I don't miss MREs.
Man, I really love MREs. I think the chicken enchilada is my favorite. I'll never forget.
Yeah, but see, that was newer, man. Like, hold on, wait a minute. I was told by my squad bosses that the chicken enchilada was something new in 2010. Like, that wasn't always around. That was a newer
oh, really?
Recipe release. Yeah, like the stuff that was around before the mid 2000s was the classic stuff that was always around. Then they finally realized after all these years making MREs, again, for our listeners, meals ready to eat. Basically, everything is just dehydrated. You got to bring it back to life with water. But it's like meals that are designed to survive a Holocaust. I don't know how else a better way to say it, but some were good, some were not. But back to your point, even that's something amazing and looks probably scientifically advanced to that kind of populace.
Yeah, I mean, they saw us. Yeah, we opened up the meal, we heated up. Everything was in there, even like a little heat pack, But I mean, to get to it, pretty much, it really made me think, And we saw some crazy medical conditions out there. Like one guy, his mouth would literally look like this. He wasn't able to actually eat a meal. There was people with all types of growths.
He had like a lockjaw?
Yeah, this was literally his mouth. Like if I could, like
wow.
These are his teeth. Like he couldn't close his mouth, to chew a meal. There was tons of medical conditions. I mean, I could go on and on about it, but it really made me think, like, if I'm going to be in business, if I'm going to be doing something, like I want to have an impact, with what I'm doing. So since then, that's right when I got back is when I really started to launch my Facebook ads agency. We were doing SEO and stuff at the time.
Yep.
There was like a crash, but I'll talk about that later. But I decided, like, whatever 10% of all the money that I make in my business, like I want to give it to a charitable organization and invest in my church as well. So I did mention, like, my uncle has cerebral palsy. So we do give to his charity that they're constantly doing research to try to find the cure. And it's incredible. I mean, the man's about 43 years old now. He's been on crutches his whole life.
Wow.
So
it's crazy because, like, I mean, comparison, I just turned 40 a few weeks ago, so he's not far from me. And right before I got back recording with the prior co-host, before I'm recording with you, I was out mountain biking with my buddies. So it's like the things that I take for granted, he's never been able to do.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've been giving into that charity, and also we're working on something with Mexico. I don't know if you know Pencils for Promise. They do schools and stuff.
Yeah. Did you meet PJ Dixon?
Yeah, I did. So
last year, San Diego, we helped him crush his goal and help him achieve his Pencils of Promise campaign that never got finished. So that was powerful. And his school will be called Thrive Academy.
I was actually there. I remember we raised like $20-something thousand in a matter of minutes.
Yeah, I was actually doing a real-time update, like refreshing the browser, because we did that whole lot. I call it live crowdfunding, like we did this year for Claire. And we were just like, because like on stage, he's like, oh, in 10 to 15 minutes, we raised, over $25,000 for PJ. And I'm like, actually, it was more like 4, because I kept hitting refresh on the browser, and we just nailed it. It was so powerful. But
right.
That's the beauty of when you get powerful people like us together. And also people that have even more successful lives than us, where we're looking to attain. Everybody just pulling each other up, rising up together, and then giving back at the same time. It was so, so inspiring.
Yeah, that's incredible. But yeah, I mean, so like, that's the kind of stuff that really touches me. We can have all this money. We can, go buy a cool car, buy a house. I've been able to do stuff like retire my mom. It was really cool.
Nice.
Yeah. So, like and I think this conversation is leading into my next point, is about how, if you want to make an impact, if you're doing what you love, if you want to make a difference, you have to be able to make money to do that. Like, you just can't, it makes it more challenging. Like, you can go donate your time at a soup kitchen and go feed the homeless or go pick up trash in a park. But if you really want to reach the masses, it does take an investment financially to be able to do it. So you have to find an income source that's going to allow you to do that.
I agree. I spent years doing stuff for like Habitat for Humanity and everything else, where I didn't have the money, but I had the time. Like when I was going back to school and stuff like that. So like, hey, I was able to free up the time. And let's be real, time is money. But at that time, I decided, well, I was willing to sacrifice my time to not make money to give back. And that was still powerful. And we were able to create powerful change. Over a year and a half, I got to help build 5 homes for low-income families here in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And that's just one fun story. It's just to create change. But to your
Mm-hmm.
point, that was only 5 homes, 5 families, which again, taking nothing away from Habitat for Humanity, I love the experience, but I'm like, okay, do I want to stop there? Or
Mm-hmm.
can I find a way as I grow throughout my life to increase, like you're hinting at, my level of impact? And unfortunately, the only way to do that is either to found your own charity and find the people who have the money, or since I'm a sales and marketing professional, you're a marketing professional, we say, great, wait a minute, we got some talent, right?
Right.
Let's take our freaking talent. Let us build some successful companies and help other people build their successful companies through businesses and products and services or whatever it is they're trying to grow with you or me. And
Right.
then we're all making more money. And that means we can then band together and give back individually or as a group. And that's powerful.
100%. Yeah. And I mean, in 2017 going into 2018, I mean, just being in this business of marketing and doing Facebook ads for these businesses, it's just, it is obviously there's a learning curve. You need the right education. You just can't jump into it. It's not something that you can learn out of a book or in college.
Oh, wait a minute. I can't do Facebook ads like tomorrow.
Hey,
I mean, you can, but you might be flushing some money down the toilet.
Exactly. My point is, like, I don't feel that, like, this is probably the number one business to get into if you're somebody that's trying to figure out entrepreneurship, like learn marketing. I think marketing is an essential skill to everything. If you're going to even start a car wash business, washing cars, you need to know how to market yourself. You need to know how to sell people and get in front of the right people. So I think marketing is a universal tool we can all use. But if you can take that a step further and actually create a system that can work and to bring new clients to that business owner, I think that's probably the best business you can get into. So you're showing some of I see you showing some of my sites. So
oh yeah, I got to show off your website whenever I can, bro. I keep cycling you in throughout the episode.
Yeah. So when this popped up, it threw me off. I was like, what was going on? And then it was my website. So
I'm keeping you on your toes. I apologize. But we're off the cuff on this show, man. So
yeah, I appreciate that. No, so some of the stuff you guys are seeing, he's showing my website. So amplocal.com, just to give you guys a little bit of background, it is a full service marketing agency. But in the past 2 years, we've taken an extreme interest in focusing on Facebook advertisement as a whole, and also working with coaches and courses and stuff like that. So on amplocal.com, you will find out a lot of information about SEO and Google PPC and a lot of stuff like that. Just know that the shift in our focus has been a strong shift towards Facebook and delivering a scalable ROI using.
And why is that then? Let's go ahead and jump right into that. I mean,
yeah. So
you've been able to build a marketing agency, and clearly something passionate about Facebook. I mean, let's be real. It's a big platform.
Yeah. So, definitely fair question. So Google's huge, obviously, right? 80% of people are searching on Google to find a local business. We first got into that business. We saw the opportunity, we jumped in it, we learned how to rank websites, we learned how to put together Google PPC campaigns, all that kinds of stuff. But what happened was Google released an algorithm update, roughly 2 years ago. It was called the Penguin, and it affected local maps
the Penguin update.
And all kinds of stuff with the yeah. So we, at the time, I think we had like roughly 40 sites ranked. Like, we were making pretty good bit of money per month, and literally almost all of them disappeared from page one. So I had a decision to make. I went to our clients and I was like, hey guys, this is what happened. There was this algorithm update. It's probably going to take another 3 to 6 months to get you back to where you were. And at that time, I mean, people's businesses were thriving. I mean, they were making anywhere between $100,000 a month to $1 million per month because of the work that we did for them.
Wow.
So naturally they were like, this is not working. I need to find somebody else. So we lost probably half.
And they didn't realize that it's not just you. It's everybody was affected by the Penguin update.
Some of them, most of them didn't look at it like that, and if anybody's listening that did SEO or knows about SEO, I'm sure you understand the struggle with it. So we were able to salvaged a good chunk of our clients doing PPC, driving traffic and generating leads like that. But we were already doing Facebook. And, we just pretty much put all our eggs in that basket. We learned the platform inside and out. We got VIP support from Facebook. And we just started, landing deals. We used it as we first upselled all of our current clients to Facebook. We built case studies out of them. And then we started showing those case study videos to pretty much every single business owner locally that did exactly what they did using our strategies on Facebook. So if a dentist was like, wow, you brought them 50 dental implant patients, you could probably do it for me too. Here's $5,000. So boom, stuff like that.
And really, that is sometimes how easy it is. If you've technically built a proper system or platform, it should be replicatable across domains. I mean, obviously keyword things may switch or targeted communication may switch, but in the end, that's the power of building a scalable business or platform, is that you as a marketing professional, great, let me prove it. Let me test it. Let me have some case studies of success. Now let's replicate and just keep turnkeying it. So.
Right. Exactly. So that's one of the big things. And that's how, our agency, we've actually grown in over 50 different industries now across the country, Mexico, Canada, and the UK and Australia. Sorry, forget Australia. All my Aussies there, but so like the systems we built and tested, like they've worked. Like you said, they're replicated not only across all URLs but across all geolocations. The same way, if someone gets in an auto accident, if somebody gets hit by somebody here in the States, they're going to Google search personal injury attorney just like they do here in Australia.
I saw that like on your website, for example, you just dabble in a few things. Like you're not just obviously a San Diego based business, but you have very on here. You target some law firm type of markets, you target solar marketing, you target real estate marketing. So it's like, you can literally replicate across domains.
Right. Exactly. So, being in this agency now where we have over 60 accounts, like we have seen and we spent so much money and seen so many things. It's actually opened up the door for us to actually start our own academy to kind of make that impact that I told you about on the marketing education side of stuff. We launched this academy. We actually have over 150 students in
already
now, and I get to focus on my passion, which has always been teaching. Even in the Navy, like everything that I did in the Navy, it was always from an educational standpoint. I was teaching support, trauma support, all kinds of things like that, even alcohol and drug awareness. If there was an opportunity for me to teach something, I wanted to be in front of people and share my knowledge and skills with them, because I know that, and I think this is really important for anyone listening. Like if you know something and if you feel like someone else can benefit from it, you need to share that. Like it's your obligation to get that message out there.
Actually, real quick pause on that. Very valuable point. For our listeners, guys, like don't miss what he's just dropping on you. That's a huge knowledge bomb. Okay. One of my own mentors, one of my own coaches years ago said the same thing to me. He said, listen, it's just different verbiage, but he said, listen, every single one of us on this planet knows at least 60% more about one thing than anybody else surrounding you in your current inner circles. So harness that, respect that, honor that, and find a way to teach that or educate that to others. And now what you're hinting at though right now, sir, Doug, is like not everybody gets that. I think they undervalue what they know.
Exactly. And I think that's why. So this year you're seeing a lot of people, right? And correct me if I'm wrong. Like how many coaches do we have that are in business right now?
Okay, that's a special topic of conversation.
Yeah. I mean, so some of them are saying they're gurus coaching of whatever they do, but there's legit people that figured out, hey, I have an awesome story. I can impact a lot of people. My experiences can literally save people's lives. I'm going to monetize my time and go share my story with the world and realize that I can actually make an income doing that. Yeah. So that's why you see so many coaches growing up in the last couple of years.
And a quick marketing lesson that I think you may agree with me on is, because I did kind of hint at my saucy response to this, is that I've actually been a coach in multiple domains. I've been a cycling and spinning coach because I used to teach spinning classes when I was younger. I always had fitness ingrained into my lifestyle. So even if I had my full-time corporate gig, I would teach spinning in my free time, or I would teach people fitness in my free time. I've been a USSA ski race coach for youth athletes for 10, 11 years, helping run races and stuff on ski mountains. So like in the corporate world at T-Mobile, big company, they got rid of our managerial titles and then cross-trained us to develop this into coaches, to coach and develop personnel. So, but I do not currently market myself online as a coach. Do I coach people? Yes. Do I have a nutrition business on the side because I've always had health and fitness in my life? Yes. Do I coach people on that? Yes. My only point is this, and this is to respect my millennial generation that's coming up behind us, is that if you're going to market yourself as a coach, and whether you're working with me or you're working with Doug, please take the time, as he's already hinted, to develop case studies and client testimonials. And I know we all have to start from somewhere, but do not oversell who you are and what you bring to the table, because you will crash and burn. Because it's hard enough to try and convince somebody that you're 23-year-old coaching guru. You better have the clout to back that up. How would you respond to that?
Yeah, I would 100% agree. And I would definitely, he did say create case study. Don't go pay your buddy to sit in front of a camera for 15 minutes and talk about how great you are. Like,
great clarifier. I didn't even think about that one. That was good. That's good.
100%, man. Being in the space, being in the digital marketing space and then the digital marketing coaching space, it gets very, very small. Guys like Billy Jean, we know we're boys, right? People like even Cole Hatter starting in digital marketing. I think he's trying to do something with marketing. I'm not 100% sure with.
I think that's more with John Dennis. That's his marketing guy right now. So maybe they're partnering up on something, because John's been kind of running point on a lot of his marketing stuff. I don't know if you ever met him. He lives in Florida, I think now. But,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, my point is this space gets really small the higher you go up, right? Mm-hmm. So we know exactly who the real players are in the market. And when we see somebody that is not legit, it's so easy to point them out.
Or when you see somebody steal somebody else's program and white label it as their own, it's like, dude, I've already been through that program. I know that's not yours. So don't do that either. Really, if you truly care about this, like this gentleman and I do, take the time to really put you into that program. Don't try and fast track it and take somebody else's content because you're a good hacker and you can design something that looks just like it and just make it your own. Because you're not, then you're just a cookie cutter. That's all you are. I purposely do not own a home in a cookie cutter development because I can't stand houses that look all the same.
Right. So that's a great point. But I will say, if you are trying to do something either like Scott or I trying to do, or if there's somebody that you look up to that inspires you, I do tell all my students, I do tell even my clients, success does leave clues. So if somebody's already doing something that you want to do, what did they do to get there? Look at their systems and their processes, study them, use it inspiration. But as soon as you literally copy and paste, claim it as your own, that's when you had messed up. Yeah. But you should always use those proven systems as inspiration to get ideas to generate your own successes. And
that's a very valuable clarifier. Again, we could pause on that. You're making a very valuable point. You were able to build an academy. So if somebody doesn't know what we're talking about right now, you would think, oh, this guy's got an academy. He's going to teach me a cookie cutter copy of everything that he's done, and then I can just do what he did. That's not what you teach in this academy. Am I right on that?
So in this academy, I do teach everything you would ever need to know about Facebook marketing, whether you're a local business, consultant, coach, whatever the case is. I do focus on my agency has built and been very successful in the local business industry, like lawyers, dentists, chiropractors, stuff like that, right? Mm-hmm. That's been our focus. It's been a lot of brick and mortar, 10-mile radius type of advertisement, right?
Sure,
not nationwide. Sure. That's where our business is now. We're doing a lot of coaches and courses and stuff like that, but that wasn't initially. So once the academy, the Experts Academy that I created about a year ago, the focus is local business. And what I provide for my students It's not only all of the background education on targeting your bid, your pixel, all this stuff, but I also make all the processes and systems that I use personally or have used personally available, including ad copy targeting funnels and things of that nature. Because this system that I built, this academy, I wanted to give our people back something that they could literally just go implement and cut out a lot of fluff.
Well, this is good. This is good because I like this back and forth, because I'm hinting at don't create a cookie cutter system. But I like where you're going with this, because you're hinting at, listen, there are some things that you have to replicate. And if these people are all paid and plugged into your system, well, obviously you are going to be replicating, proving technology or proven steps or protocols or whatever is built into your system. That's a little bit different. I'm hinting at people like saying, going out there, like they look at Grant Cardone's training program, right? Like Grant Cardone is legit. You do not copy Grant Cardone University, because number one, I'm afraid one of his people might come after you. But I respect Grant. I got a number of his books. But it's okay to study, look up to that person as a mentor, or you as a mentor or an influencer, and then study what they've done and how they've done it. Maybe enter your academy to do so. But in the end, you still need, at the very end, true marketing. You still have to personalize it to your followers or your target market, what you're trying to approach. You can't literally just copy and paste the entire thing from start to finish and then just slap your logo on it and say, oh, that's my program. I guess that's where I'm glad we're kind of getting to that point, is that there is steps to, it's okay to authorize with authorization to replicate, emulate, and simulate when you're plugged into somebody else's system. But you're going to do more for these people, I'm guessing, your customers, your academy students, than just teach them how to slap a logo on it and say, great, that's yours.
Exactly. So it's pretty much a done-for-you business in a box. Even how to file your taxes, how to get a tax ID. Like we go into I even have a module in there, and I actually push them, guys, go get the gold American Express business card, because when you charge Facebook ads on there, you get 3 times points back rather than 1 point. So there's even a module in there on that. So I like full-blown business in a box solution with over 50 copy and paste systems is what I give to my students. Now, you could take those systems, copy them, or you can just take all the knowledge I give you and go venture off into different types of industries. Because I mean, the content's really solid, and it's actually opened the door to something that I'm doing as a done-for-you service right now. Right now we're doing booked out sales calls, and that program, all I'm doing is, obviously I've been able to scale a successful academy, and there's a lot of other people that have some kind of passion that they want to turn into a course. So we've been actually doing the done-for-you system for them, and actually going to be coming out with a course that they can just do and go do themselves, because I can only handle so many clients right now, because that's more of a one-on-one type of consultation.
Nice.
So build something that someone can, because I'm getting so many inquiries for that. It's going to be hard to keep up, but as I grow, it's going to be easier if I do have a system in place that they could just learn how to do that from the modules, and then I can offer the support on the back end.
So is your entire system built from the ground up, or are you using I'm not saying you're not built from the ground up, but for example, one way to really launch an academy or an educational system is to use a proven educational platform. And I know that the last 2 years of Thrive was sponsored by Thinkific, and they've got a really cool system that Grant Cardone uses, Lewis Howes uses for their online education programs. I mean, is that something you could share? Are you also using their type of technology as far as like the back end, to help you build your system, so to speak?
Right. Yeah. So what we do is there is a platform called Lightspeed VT.
Oh yeah, I have heard of them.
Yeah, so that's a really it's pretty expensive, and it's actually a system that Grant Cardone uses for his That's his educational online platform. It's essentially a login website where you go access all your videos and training.
Yeah.
It costs about 25 grand for the company to set it up for you, and then you have to do your videos and modules yourself. So it's not cheap by any means. There are cheaper options out there, like doing a ClickFunnels membership site, or just having a WordPress site, login access, or Weebly.
That goes back to our point, though. Time is money. So you might see a big upfront nut, but what's that going to save you on launch time?
Right. Exactly. So So we're actually going to be using Lightspeed VT for the booked out sales calls, but we've done the ClickFunnels membership site, and that worked very, very well too. But some of the I think the integrations may have been kind of glitchy, but overall, I think that platform is probably the easiest and most affordable option for anyone that's looking to get into that realm too.
Okay.
So, but Lightspeed VT, man, that's
the Cadillac.
That's the Cadillac. Actually, that's probably
is that more like a Ferrari? Or?
That's probably the Rolls Royce.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. We're going RR, baby. I love that. Yeah. Well, listen, man, I mean, we've been rapping for a while, and I want to respect your time, and actually I got to respect my time. But this has been, I love the fact how we started this episode. We really got into more who you were. I love you sharing the transparency about calling attention to cerebral palsy and Pencils of Promise, and you and I definitely vibing on the purpose missions out there and trying to help other organizations like them get their word out, get their awareness out there. I also love the fact that you definitely are a geek like myself when it comes to Facebook. And I have again, you're in the Navy, I'm a former firefighter. Guess what, people? You can be healthy, fit geeks when it comes to trying to get through to other people, other businesses, other organizations to get their name, get their brand out there and help them grow and succeed along with you. So, but listen, you're new to the show. And part of my format is I do want to give my co-host the honor of closing out the show, because you're not just being interviewed, man. You are a co-host of this show. So I can already tell that you may have some powerful words, and I want to put you on the spot. But my co-host, I want to give them an opportunity to leave behind, a bigger picture message. We talked a lot about purpose, right? And you are clearly tied to your church, your family, and a lot of other bigger missions like myself, man, supporting the 10 Thrive and everything else. Right. So, beyond AMP Local, beyond your marketing, educational academy and everything else you're building, what is the big message that you're trying to put out to the world, man? That's like, if they forget everything else we discussed on today's episode, hey, this is what you're doing. This is the message you're trying to give to the world and leave behind for others.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's honestly a really loaded question.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Because the answer can be different for so many people. And I know you asked me specifically, but I always look at what I'm doing every single day. Like, why the heck do I get up at 4 a.m. every single day and go to the gym for 2 hours, pound protein shakes, prepare my meals, come in the office, answer emails, my days go, they can go be 4-hour days or they can be 14-hour days. It just kind of depends with the business. If I'm traveling, what's going on. But what I'm getting to is, like, why am I doing what I'm doing? And I'm sure that probably people here have heard, like, know your why. I can't, like, if I wanted to share any message, I think to close this thing up, I think that's it. Like, knowing why you do what you do, because it's completely psychotic to get up at 4 a.m. every day to do this business and answer these emails and handle these clients. And I have, for me to think that I was going to be doing this 5 years ago, I would tell you to, like, no, like, go to, what, that's impossible. Right. Cause I had the mentality of an employee. Like, I was comfortable with my paycheck. I was comfortable with my leave time, and when I broke outside of that and I saw the opportunities, I saw the travel, the options that financial freedom was able to give me and the impact that I was able to make with my money, it's just given me so much more purpose, so much more motivation to keep doing what I'm doing. And my biggest why is truly my family. I do want to impact as many people as possible. I want to be able to share my education, my expertise. But when it comes down to it, my support system, my fiance, my parents, my grandparents, that's really what it's all about. It's all about family. And for me, it's all about creating something that your loved ones you're leaving your legacy behind, and it doesn't always it doesn't have to be for your family. Like, for me, I have thousands of followers. Like, I want them to, when I'm gone, I want them to remember me for significant impacts that I made on the world, so, and I do consider them my family as well. So, my biggest why is the people that look up to me, that see me day in and day out, whether it be my students, whether it be my fiance, my why is my people, and they're the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. Like without my fiance, without my followers, without my students, I wouldn't really have anything. There'll be no reason for me to keep sharing messages and keep putting out content and do podcasts like this, So I think my loved ones and the people that really look up to me are my biggest why. And I think if you don't have a why to fight for every day, then there's no purpose. Like why am I going to go submit so much money to cerebral palsy when there's hungry people in Mexico? Obviously we want to do as much as we can across the board, but I have a special interest in the cerebral palsy, right? Because I have an uncle, so everything has to make sense. You have to know your why. You have to understand why you're doing what you're doing. And if it's not clear, then you're just going to be shooting in the dark, and you really aren't going to feel your true purpose, in my opinion. So I think that's what it comes down to. If I could share anything, man, just understanding your why.
I love that. That's a powerful message, sir. We've actually had the why brought up many, many times by many, many co-hosts on this show, because again, to our listeners, if I could sum up everything that he has just shared for you, it's, to me, everything that I took out of hearing your final words is, I heard what popped in my head was obviously the why and a legacy. And that's what I'm getting out of this is like why, purpose, and legacy, right? Define your why, target your why, use that why to drive your purpose, which in turn will build and leave behind a legacy. And those were just the three words that kept firing in my head while you were giving all these powerful words and why you wanted to close out the show that way. So if that sums you up, man, I love it.
Awesome, man.
So, well, again, to our listeners, guys, we've talked about it multiple times during this episode. That is Amped Local. So be sure to check that out, ampedlocal.com. Again, in the blog post and the website content, we will have all of his social media links. We'll have his connections to the marketing stream that we were talking a little bit about earlier, not just the ampedlocal.com. And we'll have everything hyperlinked in there so you can easily track him back and check out what he's doing online. He's a fellow Thrive Tribe. He's a fellow connection from the $1 Billion Body Circle of Influence. So be sure to follow, be sure to check him out. But again, the point of this show is, and hang tight, so I'm going to give you a proper goodbye. To our listeners, guys, this is what we're all about. We're bringing on powerful co-hosts like this gentleman, an active Navy man building a freaking online entrepreneurial super powerhouse. So I love this, and I loved his final words for you today. So define your why, find your purpose, build a legacy, and keep living the fired up epic life, guys. And we'll talk to you guys again soon. You're free of the pod. So I hope you had some fun, sir.
Are we still live at all or no?
Video, yeah.
Oh, video?
Yeah, okay. Because we leave behind a little extra nooks and crannies on the video for fun. But we can unplug from video at any point in time when you're ready as well. So.
Oh yeah, keep it going. It's cool.
Okay.
Yeah, man, that was really good stuff. I really appreciate this. I love doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, like I said, I keep it off the cup. I keep it open because you never know where it's going to go. And I love the fact that we got deeper into who you were before we even got into the business. And that's what I truly makes for my business related episodes, because we talk about health, business, and lifestyle. I couldn't have asked for a better show for you because it truly shows that you're a human being first. And there's more to you than just building the successful online Facebook, world and the Thrive thing and your academy and everything else. Like, hey, there's a human being behind that purpose, behind that brand, behind that growth. And people need to know that. And that's why I love podcasting. That's why I launched this show. So,
that's actually a really good lesson for marketing too. I mean, especially if you're trying to push any type of coaching, like usually people want to know like who the heck you're doing business with, not just what's this cool logo, what can they do for me? Like they want to know the person that you're doing business with too.
Oh yeah. I tell people on their LinkedIn profiles, I've coached a number of people on LinkedIn and guided them. I'm like, guys, like I put it all out there. I don't care. I was like, it's not just LinkedIn, hell, even Facebook, the same thing. You don't just stick your resume out there. Like there's more to you than a resume. Put your favorite pastimes, whatever. When they give you the option to list your skills, list some of the sports you do. I mean, it's your profile. And I can tell you as a person who used to do hiring, used to do training, used to do coaching and development in the professional world, I was like, guys, like I didn't look at somebody just for their resume.
Mhm.
I wanted to see if they had an athletic mindset, because I know that athletically fitness driven people, I can count on that person to break through the bad days, right? The
Right.
troubles. And I look for that in people that I outsource to,
Yeah.
my VAs, all that. I was like,
Right.
it has
Problem
carried
solvers.
through.
Problem solvers. I mean, that's the most successful people in the world are all problem solvers. They aren't like the 4.0 GPA guys.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't need people that are going to need to fix it with a perfect math equation. I need the people that where it's like, all right, well, that math equation may take another 24 hours to figure out. Nope, I need you to take action now. What are we going to do now? We may make a mistake. The great Grant Cardone talks about this in a number of his books. Like, again, most influencers out there will tell you, you're going to make mistakes, because the mistakes are the ones that are going to teach you the valuable lessons that will help ensure you don't make the mistake down the road. And back to your point, that's going to give you content for your future training, for your future academies you may launch, the future Facebook campaigns you build, your sales funnels, because now you know something that somebody else doesn't know because you just made a mistake and learned something from that.
Right. That's awesome, man.
Stuff gets me fired up.
Yeah. I love it. It's awesome, man. This was really good. I really appreciate this opportunity. So.
Hey, I'm excited to get you back on, or get you on actually, because I literally at the end of the month leave for 2 weeks. I'm going to South Africa. So I've been trying to crank out a few extra podcast recordings like yours, because I want to book out, because I will not miss an episode. I've been firing off 2 episodes a week since September last year. So since I launched the show, and there's been a lot of newbies out there that only do like 1 a month or 1 a week. And I'm like, nah. Two from launch, man. Every single week, I will not miss a show. So.
That's awesome. How many followers do you have?
Admittedly, I haven't had time to dig into it. I'm so busy with my business, and somebody asked me that today. I was on a mountain bike ride earlier, and my buddy's like, "Say, man, how many up to?" I'm like, "I have no idea."
Yeah.
Like, it's like it's all organic. I've not paid, other than 1 or 2 special episodes that I want to honor that were charity related to some of my podcast co-hosts. I might have boosted a couple of episode release there, but I've never paid to monetize my show. So it's just been organically growing. It's not some huge Joe Rogan show yet, because I've only been around for a year.
Right.
I know we're well over 40,000 downloads. I mean, it's not like my boy Michael O'Neill. He's one of my coaches. I mean, that guy's crushing. I don't know. I think he probably hits 100,000 downloads a month by now, but he's been around for 4 or 5 years now. My boy from California, Vinny Toiterich from the Fitness Confidential podcast, he's been around for 5 years, and now he's doing $1 million a month. But he also guest co-hosts now on the Adam Carolla show. And 2 of the biggest podcasters out there are Adam Carolla and Joe Rogan. I mean, their followings are sick. So I'm working that connection to try and get on each of those shows. So I've been networking aggressively, because I want to get what's called the Carolla bump, is what Vinny calls it.
Carolla bump. Okay.
You get on his show and you get a little Carolla bump, and all of a sudden everybody's like, "Oh, I'm going to go listen to your show." So
yeah, that's awesome, man.
The cross pollination is what we're talking about here. So
yeah.
But to your benefit, I mean, what else can I do to honor you, man? Because one of my personal goals to my co-host that I started about a month ago was, once I passed, 2 months ago now, once I passed that 100 episode launch or barrier, I was like, oh, I now have over 100 co-hosts that I've had on the show. So just from a networking circle alone, I have an entire new circle of influence that I can tap into. So every time I get a co-host on, I try to at least think of at least 1 or 2 people that I know that I can either get them connected to get them on a show, or just get them connected in general, because I think they're vibing right, and I think they could help each other. So that's just my own personal commitment before you even respond, that I'm already going to be trying to figure that out, how I can get you on, whatever, into that circle of influence.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I'll definitely be open and interested to connecting with someone else and kind of drop some value on their show. If there's somebody that wants super geeky Facebook stuff, like, I'm cool with that. Or if they want to talk Navy, or if they want to talk bartending, like I used to bartend, and so. Okay.
I've got a chick. She's from Whitney. She's, I think, not Montana. I think she's in Idaho. Yeah, she's in Boise. Yeah, she's in Boise. But she runs a really good podcast. It's targeted towards millennials. I'm just blanking on the name of her show right now. But I already have to get another guy from California connected to her. He's already on my whiteboard. But she's high energy, and she helps millennials budget their money, like wipe out debt. pay for houses, wipe out college loans, you name it. She's hardcore into that.
Oh, and yeah. That's down my alley, man, because I talk to a lot of my audience that I talk to are people that are in college that hate it, that want to drop out, but they don't want to get a job. Or there's people that have extreme debt that don't know how to figure out how to pay it off. Like they can't pay it off working at McDonald's. So
no, you need a system. You need a system.
Yeah. So that's right up my alley because I want to be able to offer these guys with my Facebook ads agency training. So,
well, good. I'll target, because again, I'm sure I guarantee you a lot of her followers, I'm going to go ahead and mark you on, because I do an email intro.
Mm-hmm.
Again, being a sales and marketing professional, I believe in warm connecting everybody. I'm not just going to give you her email, like, hey, just go ahead and reach out to her and say Scott sent you. Like come on, that's not networking. Like reach out, give you a warm feeler connection. It goes a lot better, especially since they're past co-hosts on my show. So
definitely awesome.
I'm going to think about one other on you. Oh, you know what? Have you ever heard of the famous author, Michael Michalowicz of Profit First?
100%. Yeah.
I've been on his show. I actually went to his studio in New Jersey. I was his first ever co-host that actually had the balls to drive out and actually do a live interview in his studio. But he's been on my show. I've been on his show, and his daughter has actually trained with my fiance, because my fiance is a horse vet, and his daughter wants to become a vet. So she's come out and done training with us here in Pennsylvania for her business. But I have every one of his books back here, and I've actually incorporated Profit First into my business. So I'm fully on the Profit First platform. And have you read his book?
Actually, what was the name of it again?
Well, one of his books is Profit First.
Yeah, it's quite a few. Which one? Profit First?
Yeah. So here. This was the first release. Has a pig on it.
Oh, yeah.
And then he re-released it this year. So it's still called that, but he's added more content to it. So now it looks like this. And they're both available on Audible and Amazon. Okay. And then his newest book is Surge. Hold on. With the lighting.
Yeah.
So that's he's an entrepreneurial author. And his earlier books, one of them is called The Toilet Paper Entrepreneur. So it's, again, I recommend reading them in order. But anyway, no, I'm connected with him, and they have their own podcast called Profit First Podcast. So they like bringing on people that are willing to share their own struggles of building a business, which I know for a fact you could probably talk to, being military and everything else. But then I think he would totally geek out on teaching people to start generating the profits so they can pay their profits first by using Facebook. So that'd be, because actually this is literally the same introductions I'm going to be doing for Harry Duran, who runs the Podcast Junkies. Now, you also have a podcast?
That's something that I want to do. So I'm actually in the middle of actually rebranding Douglas James Marketing.
Okay.
Because I have multiple programs. I have the agency stuff. So we're trying to get it all underneath one umbrella. So I'm going to be coming out, like there's a photo shoot, there's like a new website, like there's all.
But you're doing everything that I told people I do. I tell people you have two courses of action. Michael O'Neill, the Solopreneur Hour, same way. By the way, are you connected with Michael?
No.
So he was the guy who led the Thrive last year.
Oh,
he was like the maitre d' of the event. He was the one introducing everybody.
He's got a podcast. Yeah,
the Solopreneur Hour.
No, I know him. Yeah, we've had.
He's in San Diego.
We've hung out at Cafe Calabria in.
You haven't been on his show yet?
No, I haven't. But we've talked about his podcast. Actually, I talked to him in Vegas at Thrive this year about my rebranding and how I'm interested in putting together a podcast. And he said he'll be willing to help me with the launch because he's good friends with Nicholas as well. So that's kind of how I met him. So yeah, he's pretty interesting. He's a really cool guy. Yeah.
Well, then do you already have his contact info? Because I can go ahead and add you to my warm intro list and say, yo, man, I just talked to him again. We were talking about you, Michael. You guys got to get together again. You got to get him on the show. Talk about Facebook ads.
Actually, I have a cell phone number because he had texted me. He walked up to my fiance and invited us.
Yeah, I have all of his info too. So that's cool. Good. Perfect. So there is some common circles there. Well, he was my episode 001.
Oh, okay.
Over a year ago. So we go way back. I was in his private coaching communities before and everything else. So
awesome. Good stuff.
But he would definitely be somebody you should reach. You should definitely get on his show because he'll geek out about this. He loves bringing on solopreneurs. But my point was, he was one of my people who also agreed with my mission was, he's like, listen, there's 2 courses of action. If your name is already known, you build a brand behind your name. Mm-hmm. If you're not very well known, you build a brand. The brand or brands become successful, and then your name follows along with it. Right. Then you figure out how to umbrella it later. But either way, you got to build something. You either build a brand behind your name, or you build, your other brands first, and then your name rises up. So, and that's basically what I do. Like Live the Fuel is a part of Fuel Enterprises. So all my businesses fall into that as they succeed. And then I get the name recognition from the podcast, and I've added in public speaking. That will build my name recognition. I already own scottmulvaney.com. It just points at livethefuel.com because I just haven't had enough steam that I really can justify doing what you're talking about doing as well. So
yeah, mine's completely upside down the other way.
Oh,
so
interesting.
So I mean, the majority of the network, like if you say Douglas James, like they probably have seen me somewhere. That's like Amp Local is just a marketing agency. That's kind of like behind the scenes stuff. In my as an entrepreneur, since I've been going forward and moving up in the space, it's always been my face and name first, and then this is what I do.
Okay.
So the rebranding, we're just getting all the basic stuff done because I have a couple media engagements that I'm going to do on like local news as well. So I want to have all those things in place as I kind of scale up in this realm and doing the podcast. This is all like really cool, exciting stuff that I'm really looking forward to do. So
well, then we're gonna have to get you back on when you do the relaunch.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be January. Are you familiar with Strive and Grind with Kevin Stimson and Devonna Stimson?
Oh yeah,
yeah. So they're good friends, and they're the guys helping me out with that. So.
Okay. Oh yeah, they were there last year. They're again there this year. So yeah, they're doing some good work.
Yeah, man.
That's perfect. Well, awesome, man. I appreciate all this time tonight, and it was great getting to know you better. Now we're on that inner circle connection, so we'll have to stay in touch. And like I said, when you get ready to do your relaunch, I haven't had that many recurring co-hosts, but I love the fact that you're on the cutting edge of marketing, which is basically my world. And it's not just about me. I tell people all the time, like, dude, yeah, I could sit there and teach you, but I love bringing on other people because they're going to talk about stuff differently, lean on subjects differently, share their best practices differently than I do. And that's all I'm trying to do. The podcast is completely pure, man. It's about giving as much free value, as you know, value is powerful. And as long as I can keep leading with that, everything else I do, everything else you do will fall in line behind it.
Yeah, definitely, man. Awesome.
Well,
I'm really excited, man. This has been really good. I really look forward to listening to your shows, man, and catching up.
I appreciate that. Well, there's actually this Friday will be episode 120. So yeah, it's cool to be that far in. Actually, I think at this point, I'm looking at my schedule. I try and stay within 1 to 2 weeks of things. I have got at least 4 more scheduled by the weekend. It's been a busy week. I think you may end up falling in line to be like 123. So you'll be out in the next 2 weeks. So
cool.
You'll be updated. And I post everything online. So that way people have a choice. If they want to reshare my post, they can. If they want to do their own raw post, that's cool too. But I've had some very lazy co-hosts. They just want to click share and or retweet. I'm like, that's fine. I'm a marketing guy. I'll blow you up on that. I post everything to LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. So I exist on all platforms. I don't lead on all, as you know how it is. Like I like to focus mostly on Facebook and Instagram right now, and YouTube has fallen up behind it. But I've been on LinkedIn since it was founded. So I always post there. So
right. YouTube is actually probably the number one place where people find me organically.
Yeah.
I have over 150 training videos from Facebook to SEO, all kinds of stuff. And since we're so good at SEO, like we're ranked number 1, 2 for some keyword searches in YouTube for all these training videos. So, yeah, so I get a lot of people in my funnel for Facebook and all kinds of stuff in there. So I definitely like to put it in there because I'm starting to get a lot more followers.
Well, I think that'd be great to diversify your content, right? So it shows that, yeah, you lead here, but oh, look, he's also doing these other things, especially if you're going to eventually launch your own podcast. That's if you can get on as many other podcasts, Then when it comes time to launch your podcast, same thing. Now you have all these people like myself you can reach back out to and say, great, I can bring all these people back on because you already know who they are. And then obviously we have podcasts, so we're all going to cross-pollinate off of each other. I just spoke at a podcasting conference a month ago down here, the Mid-Atlantic Podcast Conference south of Philadelphia. On this exact point, we were all talking about the importance of getting on each other's shows because each of you have different audiences and you would bring value to each other's shows. And it's cross-pollination, so you can't beat it.
That's awesome, man. Well, good stuff. I'll be looking out for the update from you, and good luck with everything you got coming up, and can't wait to chat with you next time, all right?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got all your links here. If there's anything else that pops in your head you think you didn't share, just email it over and I'll add it into, because like once we get this all published out, it all goes into the blog content and everything will be hyperlinked in there. So I
forgot what I submitted. I gave you my
I got a couple of Bitleys, which I think one goes to your YouTube, one goes to your Facebook. I've got your douglasjamesmarketing.com/edu, and I have the Amped local.
Yeah.
But if there's other stuff like Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, send those over too. So
okay, awesome.
Because I want to make sure that everybody sees everybody's profiles, because not everybody wants to follow you on Instagram, but somebody might want to follow you on LinkedIn. So different demographics.
Gotcha. Awesome, man. Sounds good.
Well, take care of that family. Great hanging. Another actually this will be after Nick, this will be my third $1 billion body person. You're probably like 20th Thrive Tribe guy now that's been on the show. So we'll see. We'll start a race to see who can start overtaking who. Is it going to stay Thrive Tribe in a lead and then maybe $1 billion body coming up behind it?
Cool, man. Hey, real quick, where are you located right now?
1 hour north of Philadelphia.
Oh, so
I'm East Coast.
Is it cold up there right now?
No, I mean, tonight was great. It was it was a little cooler because it's fall. So I was mountain biking. It was probably about 65 degrees at sunset. I think tomorrow it's supposed to go back up to the 70s. So it's not terrible. Okay. Cool, but yeah, I'm an hour and a half, an hour 15 from New York City and an hour from Philadelphia. So I'm like sweet spot right between two major metropolitan areas.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful.
And I don't have to deal with the traffic.
That's awesome, man. Well, if I'm ever out there, I'll let you know for sure.
Absolutely, brother.
Yeah. All right, Scott. Well, have a good night, man. Thanks again for having me on the show.
Hey, it was great having you. I can't wait to share all your content. I love your hustle. I love what you're doing. I'm definitely going to be following more of your content because I want to see what how you're doing things differently than I'm doing it. So
definitely. All right, man.
All right. Have a great night. Take it easy. Bye.